Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is the Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games in a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Motorsport Manager, episode 62, and after finally reaching the Formula 1, the top tier, World Motorsport Championship, as it's known in the game, we find ourselves in a wonderful position at the moment. We are at Brazil. We're already into the middle of the race. It's lap number 11 right now. And it's raining. It's still raining. Yet every car in the field, minus a couple guys on wets, just pit. Everybody on the intermediates pit. And they all, knowing that it was actually going to dry out fairly soon, they all opted for their dry tires and are super slow at the moment. And with that, Verstappen has just passed Matsushita to get up into third place, who's on the wets as the track is starting to dry out a little bit, even though actually it's still soaked. So he should be faster than us at the moment. But they all pit way too early. See, there you go with the track, though. In the condition it is, Matsushita gets back around Verstappen. But it won't last as the track is beginning to dry out now. So as we are dropping down from soaked to wet conditions, you can see he's already starting to come back on him at the moment. Meanwhile, we are looking very good for this, because one more stop will get us to the end of this race. And right now, we're picking up all sorts of time on the rest of the field. You can see Colton Herta 11 seconds behind Perez, who himself had a great tactical move that has put him well in front of the rest of the field. So here's the rundown of how we got to where we are now. Now that the track's dried out, these are starting to overheat. And how close are we to dry? We are getting very close. Perez has pit, and I just missed my opportunity for Verstappen himself to pit, and we're down to damp, so we are going to pit this lap. So actually, let's go ahead and attack. Don't worry about the overheating side of things. And okay, so quick pause, quick rundown. As we, I love to call this the whale. Right, here's the head of the whale, and the tail. Anyway, as we head around the track one last time before we pit in, which will be our final pit of this race, as we are going to be dry to the end, and we will be able to go to the end on super softs. We opened the race on the ultra soft tires after qualifying 14th and 17th. Verstappen with the better qualifying time on that one, and was 2 milliseconds from being 13th. We both opened on ultra soft tires while a lot of the field was on super softs or softs, and that allowed us to get that really good start. And right off the bat, Verstappen had a good start, but he got checked up behind somebody and had to get off and slow down. Colton did not, so Herta moved right past, and he ended up moving right past Verstappen as well. And by the end of the first or second lap, Herta was 11th, Max was about 13th or 14th, and by the time the rain started falling on lap 3, we were running 10th and 11th, with Herta just ahead of Verstappen by about a tenth of a second. Then, that rain started to fall, track started to get damp. The first lap, just 3 cars, 18th, 19th, and 20th, the back of the grid, all came in and put on, 2 of them put on intermediates, 1 put on wets. Those were the last guys just pitting. Matsushita being the second of those, and Perez, not Perez, but Matsushita, one of those on the wets. The next lap, because I was stacked up the way I was, and Colton was in front, I allowed him to pit, put on the intermediates. And when he pit, there was only one other car in the top 10 that pit, and that was Perez, who came out on wets. A lap later, with about 7 seconds lost in the end, was Verstappen and all the rest of the top 15. There were about 3 or 4 cars that pit at the same time in the bottom half of the field, but the majority waited till that final lap. So Herta picked up a bunch of time, came out in P7. But then, just before we went live, we had a bunch of the field coming in and pitting way too early while the track was still quite wet. Now that the track is damp, I'm going to start to lose some time on this lap. We'll see how much time is lost. At the moment, though, pace is good, and we have plenty of tire wear to be able to push these things to try to get in quickly. But both cars going to pit now. We'll go ahead and set that up, and we're going to go to the end now. And a lot of the cars either have to be on the softs, which are going to be slower, or they're not going to make it to the end. But the super softs will get us there. Now, my bonus was the ultra softs, which was what gave us that fantastic start. And originally I had planned to make the super softs the bonus and run that, but then when I saw the rain at the start, the way it was, and not knowing how long the rain was going to go, whether it was going to go on for the whole race, I went ahead and went with the ultra soft, and I actually saved a set of ultra softs. I only qualified on one set. I was going to use one for practice and 2 for qualifying. I ended up only using the 1, which is now used, so good thing we're going to be able to go to the end. Both cars in good shape here, and let's go ahead and speed things up till we get to the pit row, and here we go. So Herta is in first as we check in with him, and he comes back out after a good stop. 1.9 seconds for him, and Max also a good stop without any mistakes. 2.02, a little bit slower, 1/10 of a second. But we'll see where we come out at, and it's a good one. Both cars benefiting tremendously well from those pit stops and from that extra run. So we come out on super softs with a lot of cars around us. Good to go to the end, but on soft tires. Norris might not be good to go to the end. Newgarden is absolutely not going to go to the end. But Verstappen, less than a second ahead of Mick Schumacher in a much faster car. He might be on softs that are already a quarter of the way used up, but it's going to be very hard to keep him behind us. Van Dorn, 4 seconds down, and on used softs, might be able to hold him off. So both cars well into the points at this stage in the race. Both cars good to go to the end, and Herta all the way up on the podium in P2, splitting the Red Bulls right now. We need to turn this down as we're going to overheat those tires very, very quickly. And we have plenty of ERS to use, which is nice. And we are going to try to defend and go to the end. I very much predict that we're going to get one or both cars into the points for this race. It's just now down to how high up the grid we will be, because we are surrounded by faster, much, much faster cars. And it actually looks like Verstappen's already on the verge of getting past. He's holding them off for now. Come around here, and Herta, we're going to use some ERS. Open up a nice gap there, and now it's going to be Max's turn. Can we retain the position for now? And yes, at the moment, Max hangs on to 6th place. So P2, P6, this is an amazing, amazing opportunity, and we have some fuel to burn as well here with 8 laps to go. We're not going to quite step into that just yet. I will try to defend this position, but I'm not going to defend it with everything I've got. I do presume that Max will lose this position. We'll defend it while we can, but we're not going to throw everything into that and risk the overall race. At this point, I'm kind of prepared to defend 7th place more than 6th place for Max. But for now, he's actually pulling away from the Mercedes. Ooh, getting overheated. Both cars starting to get overheated on those tires. They do run a little bit hot, I noticed in practice. To compensate, let's go ahead and turn up the engine mode on both cars. Herta dropped his fuel load a bit quicker down to neutral. That's why he's got a little more fuel left. because Max was further behind, so Max still had that work to do to get past a couple cars to get up to where Herda was before that first stop. But Herda had already gotten into kind of a happy zone where he had space in front of him, he had some space behind him, he didn't have much to defend, and so I allowed him to go neutral and put that fuel away for a time like right now. Now he's at 96%, but there's no good place where we're at on the track right now. As we go ahead and change the angle here. 98. Yeah, we'll use it here when we come to the front stretch. 2nd and 6, still 2nd and a half from Verstappen to Schumacher. So he has pulled away a bit, and as we hit the front straight, there we go, using up some of that ERS. And again with Max, we'll use that to continue to defend that position. And it looks like we might be able to defend 6th place. And can Herda hang on to 2nd? Meanwhile, a tire check. Newgarden is the one who is in 3rd and closing down Herda, but he absolutely will have to pit. He is not going to make it 5 laps on those ultra softs. Norris is the other one who's in danger of having to pit. Everybody else is going to go till the end. That's in some sort of contention. Ocon's going to have to pit. He's going to finish dead last in this race. Bad day for him. We are back into the happy zone here, but we are still a bit off from where we want to be. As we use a little ERS again, and Herda has opened that gap back, and Newgarden into the pits. That's why that gap opened up. So Newgarden is pitting, and there you go. He is outside of contention now, back in 9th place. So Verstappen now sitting in P5 with Herda in P2. This is an amazing race. And look at that. Mick Schumacher has a problem with his car. He has a problem with his car. We're going to go back to neutral as he is coming fast. Mick Schumacher is really making up some ground on us at the moment, so it is time to defend here. We will use some ERS on the front stretch. It's lap number 20 of 23. There are 4 laps left in the race. Ocon has just pit and come out a lapped man now. Oh, and here we are. It's Brazil and Ocon in the Force India. Max Verstappen right there. He just came out nearby. We're not in the lead of the race, though. We're in 5th place. But oh, memories. Oh, memories. If you did not see the Brazil race this year in Formula One, you missed an exciting one, especially with the shove from Max Verstappen on Esteban Ocon at the end of the race, even though it was 50-50 on blame, honestly. I think I have talked about this on the channel before at the time that it had happened, but getting heated again here, and fuel load is still very good on these guys, so they're holding up just fine. Max in 5th place. Margasov is closing down on Herda slowly but surely. He is a lot closer than he used to be. There's still just over 2 seconds between them. Max has pulled away a bit, and Norris again is in danger of not making it to the end of this race, or definitely falling off the cliff, as he's approaching the cliff right now with 2 laps to go. So Lando Norris likely will not hang on to 4th, so Max Verstappen could be all the way up to 4th place with a Red Bull sandwich ahead of us. Herda in the middle of that, Verstappen just behind it, but in P2 and P4. This is absolutely phenomenal. 2 laps to go, and we very much look like we're going to get a lot of points today. A lot of points. Okay, we're going to go right back to neutral now. It's only 2 laps to go, so it's okay if we end up overheating on the final lap. We do have the tire wear to burn if we end up going outside of the happy zone, which the benefit does not do quite as well when you do get hot, but attack is attack. Final lap of the race, Perez cruising to victory, but here comes Max Verstappen. Can he get up to 4th? No pit stop from Lando Norris. Lando Norris has not pit, so So he is going to the end. It's 7 seconds. I don't think we can make up 7 seconds even if he falls off that cliff. It's just too big of a gap. But Margasov has fallen back. It's now 4.5 seconds between Herta and Margasov as he's on those softs, and he has gotten away from his happy zone and he is falling off the cliff. So he is dropping back. I'm less worried about Margasov. There we go. Colton Herta, second place. And here we go. Max Verstappen. Wait. Attack. What am I doing? Just to the finish line. And 5th place. All right. 2nd and 5th. What a fantastic result for us. Now, most of this came down to tactics. We did not have the pace of the other cars. They just made some serious errors when it came to tire choice and when to pit. And you can see 3 stops only became a factor for 3 cars in the whole race. So it was just the timing of the pits and what tires to be on. Sergio Perez, though, really benefited from his tactical genius in that he went for full wets, but he was able to pit late. So it was well into the wets. He had dropped back a bit, but then he went full wets and benefited from that and pulled away while other cars were on intermediates. And so, yeah, there you can see his 7 laps on full wets actually worked out. Herta pit the same time Perez did. He went on the intermediates, and he too benefited as those guys ended up in that 1-2. So the biggest thing was pitting there on lap 6. Those guys who pit on lap 7 all lost about 7 seconds or more. Perez pulled away a bit because there was a good 3 to 4 laps where we were in full wet conditions, which apparently outweighed the 3 laps or so for the intermediate conditions. And pitting-wise, I think pitting on lap 14 actually ended up being best, but those who pit on 13 were close. All those guys who pit way back on lap 10, it was still soaked when they pit, and that did not work out for them at all. I have no idea why so many cars pit on lap 10, but that was a major mistake, and we benefited it greatly from pitting all those laps later. 14 might have been a little late. 13, I think, was the best time. Scrutineering, can we gain anything else here? Penalties have been pretty rampant lately. None today. 0 penalties. But look at that, 28 points. Here to 18. He has not done anything like that since the first race where he did exactly that. And Max, 10 very valuable points for him, especially when he's still fighting in the Drivers' Championship for a decent spot. Remember, he was with Red Bull the majority of the team. He's been with us for a while. He slipped from 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship, which has got to be frustrating. But the fact that he's hanging on to 5th is pretty dang decent, all things considered. And Colton Herta jumps to 13th place, moving up ahead of 3 drivers this time. Giovinazzi, Russell, and Nordstrom now behind him in the standings. What a race for us that was. And with that, we pass Renault, who we were pretty close to, and get up to 8th. And now we're just 5 points behind Toro Rosso. Now, none of that had to do with quality of car. That was all tactical. The quality of car was definitely a factor, though. We have clearly gotten more competitive as the season has gone on, even though we are still just 9th best on the grid. We have distanced ourselves from Haas a bit, and I think we've closed down the midfield a bit, and while we're still not fast, we're still off the pace. The fact that we have that 100% condition on all the parts and are able to use the weight stripping to maximum effect makes the car much more competitive. But clearly nowhere near the top 3 teams, so the fact that we got 2nd and 5th was an amazing finish for us, absolutely. And from that, we're secure. We've got 2 races left to go. We are not going to get relegated. We will not be in 10th place. I can guarantee you that now. I mean, mathematically, it's not a done deal. But there's no way that Haas is taking 1-2s in the next couple races plus Renault in third and fourth or anything like that. So those two teams will not be topping the points tally in the final two races. So Max starting to get there with Kitagawa as they're up over 50% on their relationship. Morale coming back up for Herta after a weird drop. I have no idea why it dropped 30-something% in that last race when he just missed out on points. There was no reason for that. Could not understand why that ended up happening. But Red Bull gets first in the race. We get second best in the race. And a podium to boot. So that was awesome. Awesome result. I don't know how the marketability doesn't go up at all, but I guess okay. I think the team part of the marketability is all the way up. Oh, and with that, we should have gotten $1 million bonus. For finishing in the top 3, which was completely unexpected. I had forgotten about that. Our bonuses are far out of reach at the moment. Meanwhile, down in the third tier, ERS, Ratback's leading the way. But it is Arden who is 6 points ahead with 1 race to go. That's a bit of a battle. Who's going to get that promotion? For this game that used to be known as GP3. Alright, so we have 10 days till that next race, which is the same race. That is why I opted to do this episode a little bit differently. We open up with Pit Crew. And do we have anybody new available to us? You're garbage. I get +3s, so that would be a 19 on the jack, but no. You're still garbage. Same here, but no, not happening. 19 on the front jack, still not enough, so all of those guys are rejected. I did have a couple contracts that just expired on guys that just weren't quite the elite ones any longer. Everybody left is a 19 or 20 in their respective categories. So, yes, he's a 17, but that's not what he's on the team for. He's a 19 on the jack. He's a 20 on the jack. So I've got 3 guys that are a 20 on the jack, but one of them is one of our tire guys. So I've got 2 jackmen that are 20, and then on the front I've got 2 guys that are a 19, with these 2 being tiremen. So that's our rotation there. Now he's at an 83, so let's swap those 2 out. You're an 82. Versus a 98, so let's get the 98 in there. Okay, and then onto the tires. Some of these guys are definitely going to have to go as they've all dropped below 80 now. You're full, so let's get you in here. Let's see, you're ready to go, 88. 84 full strength, so let's get you up here. And that's it. I've only got 7 guys now, so that's kind of my backup on that. A 77 is going to have to do, as it is a 20-man, so we'll get him one last race on the season. Let's swap these guys. See if that does anything. No, what about if we swap you? Okay, it's same time regardless, because of the guys that are here. Fixing is a little bit better now, just in case, but that shouldn't be a factor. Okay, so Norris had the pole. 12 hours to fix the car back up. We're going to get an interview here. Hopefully this is one of those good questions. You finished well down the pecking order in practice, only managing to finish in 17th. Did you struggle to find the right setup? Setup was fine. We just had the engine turned down. That's exactly what it was. Pit crew review. We had a 1.9 second stop. Perez wins. And there we go. An engine build is finished. Now this one was a sped up, our second engine that we have built. The first engine that we built, even though it's not much better, is actually going to go on one of the cars because of how close we are to the end of the season. And I'm going to get one final engine built here. As we've climbed up the cellar, we're still in 10th though in the engine department, and actually that first one's still not on the car. So this engine is going to go on the car. So we want top speed plus 20. We want 20 and 15 to max. Last time I did the minus 3 days, and that's why it's not going on the car. And with this tier unlocked, the heck do we have here? Reliability, but that comes with risk. I don't want the risk. Then again, though, it's only going to be the final race of the season, so maybe we do go with it because that'll make it ready with plus 60 reliability. I mean, that would put it at ready to go as soon as it's done. That's just for qualifying. That's not going to... None of these things are going to have any long-term impact on the engine. None of them. I don't necessarily need to take this blue category, though, because it's going to reset next year. So I'm not going to get another engine done this year. This would get us an immediate. Yes, it comes with a risk level, but it's the final race of the season. Chance of getting caught is very small. This, though, does come with the immediate, which is what I'm going to need because I'm not going to have time to do a lot of performance enhancement. So the immediate is going to give us the best result. So we're going to take that one, even though it lowers the reliability. This might not get on a car for this season with the reliability down. But what it will do is give us a big boost to our engine for next season. And that matters more than catching one race at the end of the season. Because that's going to take 19 days. The penultimate race of the season is in 10, so there's only 9 days after that until this is done, which means there's only going to be a few more days left in the season before the final race. Okay, we've got a new sponsor coming in. I'll wait for 3 offers before I do something. But the car repair is done, so let's go ahead and go into the improve parts. And there we go. We want that engine ready to get on a car. 8 minutes before race is perfect. Here's that other one, and no, it's not going to go on a car. Even though it essentially has the exact same setup. Just the minus 10% here. Wonder if I should try to get both of those on the car. Let's see what happens if I try to go with both. Can I get them ready? No, I cannot. I cannot get them both ready. So we'll just get the one as planned. 8 minutes before race. There you go. Fully ready to go. So one car will get that upgrade. The other one's not happening. Okay, it's Verstappen, the movie, as documentary filming starts. Watch out, Decathlon gamer racing mechanics. Max Verstappen's ego is about to jump several sizes as the Dutch driver is going to be starring in his very own documentary. It's really all about me, said Verstappen, wearing some designer sunglasses. I'm fine with that. Give the people what they want, right? They told me that I'm one of the biggest personalities in the World Motorsport Championship. And if you look at it like that, why the hell shouldn't I get my own movie? Marketability plus 25 for 20 weeks. We'll take that. That's a good result. I was starting to get worried that there was going to be a negative impact with it as well. Pit stop training. All pit crew stats. Absolutely. Say no more. Oh boy. I believe that is a perfect one. Permanent one. Because I think, if I remember, that's how we've gotten all of those. Yes, look at that, plus 20s. Woohoo! Oh yeah. Oh, I'm loving it. Oh, I am loving it. Look at all those 20s now. Yes, it is. I now have a plus 4 to all pit crew members. Plus 4. Plus 4. And I think the other plus 3 came from that exact same opportunity. So thank you, Christine, my assistant, for coming up with that. McLaren, teaching us how to get a little bit better. Oh, I am so happy by that. Oh my goodness. Oh, happy day. Yes, I know, we want facilities. Okay, here is F2 with their penultimate round. Siddiqui getting the win. Valdez leading the drivers, and Prima looking to come back up, replacing Haas if the championships stay the same in the final round or final 2 rounds for us. Sauber not making their way back up. By the way, it was just announced this week that Sauber is now Alfa Romeo. So they don't just have the sponsor, they are changing team name. So we now have Force Point and Alfa Romeo replacing Force India. That's not Force Point. Is it Force Point? It's something along those lines. Alright, so we are heading to Rio once again. Reliability is done. So we're going to switch that up. Let's go ahead and put that reliability into this one, but we are going to go max effect, trying to get these parts topped out. And there are still some others that are on cars. Is it just... Oh, it's just the engine now after these 2 parts. So these 2 parts plus the engine are all that's left that are not maxed out on performance, as the car gets better and better and better all the time. Now in comparison here, so 5th rear wing, 6th suspension, 4th on the front wing, that is awesome, 9th on the brakes, still 10th on gearbox, but you can see how much better we are than we were, and same on the engine. Overall still 9th, but again we were, at a sliver, and it's definitely not a sliver anymore. Sponsors though, only 2 came available. Let's see if one of these is good. Fixed per race is the exact same, the length is the exact same, but the upfront is more, so it's pretty clear who we're going with on this one. Help with those fundings. The funding continues to drop because of what I'm spending on the drivers. We are ready to head into this race. Problem being that I do not have anywhere near enough time. We are not going to get through this whole race in 10 minutes at all. So what to do? Do I roll this into the next episode, which had been the plan originally, or... Well, I mean, I wanted to finish it with this episode is what I mean. So I don't see how that's supposed to be. Okay, well, we're going to be doing the same thing here, and it looks like we are dry this time, and I already know that the super softs are the way to go. and not the softs, so we only need one set of those. And then we can have extra ultra soft for qualifying and race, if it comes down to it. And we need to get that engine on one of the cars. So we're not going to be finishing this one up. I have to figure out how to do this. Okay, here's the plan. I'm going to do practice, I'm going to do qualifying, and I will see you back partway into the race. I'll go ahead and edit this video. That's what we're going to do. So I'll see you mid to late race. Back in action. Lap 11 of 23 here in Brazil. Max had an amazing qualifying run, totally in the dry as he just concedes 4th place to Stoffel Van Dorn, he's actually held off for quite a while, but we are driving conservatively and neutral at the moment, and I'm sure he's probably pushing a bit harder than we are. Lando Norris into the pits. That's going to put us back up to 4th. You can see about half the grid has pit already, and Colton Herta has crashed out of the race. The sad thing on that was he was in the same setup that Max has right now, driving conservatively and engine on neutral when he did that and under no pressure whatsoever. So Herta with a nasty, ugly crash. At least he's not last place, as Buchanan also crashed out before him pretty early on in this race. Herta just a couple laps ago when he did that. And I guess his only excuse is there was a bit of tire wear. Don't know what else to tell you. Alright, so it's lap 12. This is the point that I needed to get to. Now on to lap 13 in order to do my pit stop, and this is actually that time. So we're going to go ahead and attack now as Max Verstappen actually inherits the race lead for the moment, but he's about to give that up on this lap here. 10% chance of error. And let's go ahead and put the engine mode up on high as well as we try to attack on this lap. We do not have a big lead over Ocon or Harold, but neither of them have pit. Schumacher, though, 4.8 seconds behind, so we are not in contention for race win or the race lead here at all. We're about to hit that cliff. It starts at 20%. We're at 21 right now as we're also just going into the hot zone, but we are also approaching pit road. 20%. We're going to start to slow up here, but look at our pace, 0.755 seconds ahead. So it was a very quick lap heading in, and it's a good stop. We are out 1.734. That might have been our best stop of the season, potentially. And Max all the way back in P16. Wow. So those tires just did not hang on very on. But, again, all these guys that pit had fresh tires when they came out, while Max was running on those used tires. So his pace was not bad, but their pace was good after they pit. Max is good to go till the end of the race, though, now. And let's go ahead and turn the engine mode back to high, I guess. We'll try to make up some ground. So it's all forward from here. There's no reason for Max to go backward at all, as Seamsol and Russell are actually the only cars behind him. But they're very much on used softs. Van Dorn could be difficult to catch, but a lot of those guys ahead will be pitting very soon, like Sergio Perez, who's in now, and we move up one spot, P15. We're going to speed things up a bit, as there's not going to be much action for a while besides cars pitting, and Max has a bit of a gap in front of him. When we close that down, we'll slow it back and see if and when we can start making some moves. Not this lap. I'm going to save up the ERS still, as he is closing that gap, but he's not closed it just yet. Now closing up on Stoffel Van Dorn. Van Dorn using that ERS to try to open it back up, and that's okay. We are saving that ERS. What we also need to save, though, is these tires, as they are starting to get unhappy with their current situation, as we're making that move around Van Dorn potentially here. There we go, just a little ERS, just a touch of it to complete the pass. And now we'll use some more in the happy zone. Couple cars into the pits, 3 cars into the pits. Verstappen back up into P11. As we're on conservative, Van Dorn has gotten back around. That is okay. It's those cars ahead that are going to be a bit off the pace and slow us up a bit. I think this is actually a good time to go back down to medium and save some fuel for the final laps. We'll make a look. Oh, there we go. Van Dorn making a mistake again as he couldn't complete the pass and lost some time with a bad exit. And now we're going to get a shot at it on the straight, if not before then, as we are nose to tail with Nordstrom. Nordstrom, we lost a bit there as Nordstrom kind of blocked us off and we had to back out of it. But Max is up to P9, which is where we started the race. Looking ahead, Giovinazzi is going to pit here very soon. Potentially all of the cars besides Newgarden and Leclerc may have to pit in this one, but definitely going to have to pit is Nordstrom and Giovinazzi. So Max could be as high as P7 here. Van Dorn, his tires are a bit more worn, so while we might be battling now, I think Verstappen is going to outlast him, especially when we have some fuel to burn. But speaking of, let's start to burn some of that as we need to preserve this position here. And there is one car to the pits, Giovinazzi. Max moves up to P8. Thanks to that pit stop, the one-stop strategy is starting to really pay off for us here as we're now in P8. And we are definitely good to go till the end of this race. Nordstrom is not, so there's potentially one more position from that. And I think we should be able to defend behind us. Van Dorn has dropped all the way to P11. So he's having a bad run there. CMSol behind us. I'm not worried about CMSol passing us. So I think we're going to be in the points again today. This is not going to be the second and fourth place finish that we had last time out. But this is a full race in the dry. So to be in the points at all in the dry is a bit of a miracle, as tactically we just don't gain the advantage that we do in the wet. We are so much better in the wet than we are anywhere else. It is lap 20. And Nordstrom had already pit. Nordstrom's all the way down to P16. That was his only stop? Whoa. He was on softs all the way till there? Maybe it wasn't Nordstrom. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But Perez is the only one who's pit twice, and I know it wasn't Perez, so that must have been his first and only stop. Tires about to hit that happy zone. Let's go ahead and go back to neutral. It's lap 21 anyway, so there's only a few laps to go. So we will push at the end, especially with 59%. Already with the engine mode turned up, Giovinazzi just went fastest lap. Purple on the third sector. And that's because he just came out on those ultra softs. Has a bit of a light fuel load at this point. Alright, so we've got 2.5 seconds to CMSL behind us on those used softs, so he's not going anywhere. But it's 7 seconds to Newgarden. We're fine, we're fine. It's 2 laps. 2 laps and 20%, so not a big deal. Turn that up. Turn that up. There we go. Go back to neutral for a little bit. It is 2 laps that I've got to get through, not just one. We will attack on the final lap. And we'll also have enough fuel to attack. We'll have to just keep an eye on that engine and make sure that it doesn't get worse. In fact, we might just keep it turned up slightly and not all the way. And go for a comfortable 7th. I think that's what we're going to need to do. In fact, let's go ahead and turn this down. We'll turn this up. I don't think we're going to get higher than we are, but 7th place is going to be a good result. It's going to pick up some points for us. Looking at the grid, okay, we've got a Williams in 5th, but otherwise it's the big 6. The one missing from that is Sergio Perez. Perez has had the 2-stopper. I think he had a problem at the beginning. No. Perez just on a 2-stopper. I think he started on used tires or something. You know what? There's nowhere to go. Let's just drive neutral. Let's get this thing home, huh? Get it home in one piece. Here we go. Race win for Lando Norris, Mick Schumacher second, Mercedes 1-2, and Max Verstappen is comfortably here in P7. And we're just going to bring this one home. Use that ERS to get around to the end, and there you go, P7. So good points yet again in this race. Now Toro Rosso, CMSL does finish in 8th, so we don't gain a ton of points on them, but we do close Toro Rosso down a little bit more. And we definitely put more distance between us and Renault, and Haas is now a foregone conclusion. They have been beaten on this season, so we are not going to get relegated back down to F2. We will definitely retain our position in F1 now. It is more a question of, can we get 7th over Toro Rosso in the final race, or will this be it? Is P8 the highest we can get? So 6 points on the day, good total. We gained 2 points on Toro Rosso. Nobody picked up any penalties on the day. It's going to take longer to repair the car after Herta's crash. Max hangs on to 5th place in the points, and it looks like he's got it in the bag unless Leclerc wins the race. As there's just one race left in the season. 3 points behind Toro Rosso. 3 points. That is absolutely doable. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. They still have the better car. So we'll see. But we are now 31 points clear of Renault. And that looks like it's pretty secure unless we have an absolutely crazy race. So P7 or P8 should be our final tally. And it's all going to come down to that final race. There's going to be a good chunk of money if we can get above Toro Rosso and finish in 7th this season. Meanwhile, Mercedes, they've locked up the Constructors' Championship with Red Bull in 2nd. Ferrari, a very distant 3rd. They have not had the greatest of seasons. McLaren and Williams. Williams has been very competitive throughout. Force India, a little ways behind, but there we are. Now solidly into the midfield after a couple pretty good results in Brazil. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe and tune in next time on my road to the record. Bye for now.